little bit in a few weeks' time, so we'll actually get to see some proper details. Because all we've had so far.
That'll be you pulling off those awful fatalities.
Oh god. But yeah, so I'm actually, that's something I'm really looking forward to because I like Mortal Kombat a lot.
We could do a live stream. Do you think that would be acceptable?
We could like strategically put black boxes over things.
Just one big black box.
I mean, I pan away from the skinning in Red Dead when.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Could you stomach like a 90-minute live stream of Mortal Kombat 11?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer something less gross?
With less intestines? Let us know.
More intestines? Let us know in the comments. After April, Andy.
Yes.
Comes, guess what? May.
May.
Right? What's going to happen
Again,
in May?
Switch it up. On the 14th, Rage 2 is coming out. Which I am actually pretty excited for. So I played it at E3, and it really reminded me of Bulletstorm, which I don't know if you played Bulletstorm.
Yeah.
It's that kind of incredibly fast-paced, frenetic, stylish combat where you're sliding around and stringing together combos and like knocking people into the air and like shooting them out of the sky and then blowing something else up. Great soundtrack, lots of really heavy-feeling weapons, just a really, really solid shooter. Bethesda, they do those kinds of shooting games really well.
True.
And if you just want a kind of really stylish shooter, I think Rage 2 is going to be
even
really
ragier.
good. Yeah.
Now with 50% more rage.
I'd like to play more of it, but what I've played so far has been really good. We're not talking about absolutely everything that's coming out in the first half of 2019 because that would take ages. I know that there's something else you want to talk about.
Yeah, so there's no specific release date attached to Control, the new game from Remedy.
Yeah.
But we do know, to the best of our knowledge, it's coming out in 2019, possibly the summer, possibly June, July. The oldest house is a shifting place. There are rules and rituals. You can keep traveling deeper. I'm very excited about anything Remedy is doing, but specifically a kind of X-Files, Fringe, Lovecraft, sci-fi, horror mashup with impossible geometry.
From the outside, it looks like an ordinary building, a brutalist skyscraper. But inside, it breaks the laws of our reality.
That's Control. Control is about a department of arcane investigators and researchers who work in this weird eldritch Lovecraftian house that has doors to other dimensions in it.
The Bureau of Control.
The Bureau of Control.
We're holding the key, but we don't have a clue on how to use it. We're dealing with dangerous, unknown forces here. Everything
about it is so Remedy. I just love how fully they invest in their created worlds, like their fiction, and they go like full tilt into these fantasy worlds, like with Alan Wake and like with Max Payne, or the earlier Max Paynes. There's something very earnest about it, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
As a horror sci-fi flavour, Control is exactly my bag.
Plus, the combat looks really, really fun.
It looks a lot like Alan Wake combat.
Well, Quantum Break.
And Quantum Break, yes,
It
absolutely.
reminds me of, but the combat in Quantum Break was really
But
good
with
fun.
more flying around, like you've got more superpowers this time.
Which will be great.
Are we the starting point, or just a necessary evil in this? We're on a mission to find answers to these questions. Or die trying.
See, so there's loads of stuff coming out in 2019.
Apparently
You haven't even talked about all the Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out.
Yeah.
It's going to have a theme park attraction summons.
I know
which
you're
I'm
excited for
super
that.
excited about. Other stuff coming out. Crackdown 3 finally, apparently.
Are you excited for that?
Well, I mean, no one's ever seen it. So I'm excited to see what actually comes out.
Is that really going to happen?
I don't know. I'm excited to find out.
Wow.
2019.
Okay. Last of Us 2.
Yeah, Animal Crossing on the Switch.
Animal Crossing on the Switch.
It's just so much.
World of Warcraft classic.
Like, loads
Those
of
are the others that I care about,
Yeah.
and no others.
So, you don't need this Game Boy anymore,
Well,
do you?
and Tetris, I forgot to say Tetris
it's not
is my game of
it's
2019. I'm calling it right
Okay,
now.
but what I'm saying is you won't need this because of
Because
all
I
the
already
games
know
that are
it's
coming
my
out.
game of 2019.
So I'll just take
That's
this.
fair.
I'll
Okay.
take this with me.
Okay.
Gonna put this in there.
Yeah. No, that's what I would have done.
Just clearing lines like
Yeah.
an absolute legend. Let me just. So how have you been, Mike?
Oh, you mean since winning the Xbox Xmas Challenge 2018?
Yeah, since then.
Great. And if you'd like to refer to me as Christmas Champion Mike or Mike the Challenge Master, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I might skip the challenge this week. Actually, a bit challenged out. So
Yeah, not surprised. Not surprised. Must be disheartening to, lose at challenges.
Yeah, so instead, how about we see what's written in the YouTube comments and also in our resolutions for the new year 2019?
Oh yeah, mine's to be more organised and to plan ahead more. That's why I've put all of my lunches for the entire year into the oven at the same time.
Right.
I've jacked up the heat as well to save even more time.
2019 off to a good start then, basically.
Yeah.
In that case, let's get this show on the road with the comments on our most recent Dungeons & Dragons Ox venture, a festive tale in which we desecrated an underwater church.
What's your plan?
Yeah, tell us the song of your people.
I mostly just go up onto the highest peak and
Throw all your money in.
throw all of your money on. I make a charitable donation to the land.
Commenter Marble Trouble found things inspiring, saying, Jane continuously stroking her feathery boa the entire time is a mood.
Indeed, although not as much of a mood as your character, Mike, as pointed out by commenter Jetpack Cthulhu, who says, Egbert has hallucinated a giant turtle, peed everywhere, and been a general nuisance. He's the real MVP.
Thank you, I'd try.
Yeah, we'll try harder.
1 + -1.
Okay, so...
I've wandered off down the street, probably.
No, you see something, all right. It is a ginormous sea turtle that looks at you, waving two swords around. It's wearing sort of like a weird, cowl across its face, and then it sort of just cartwheels down an alley. You are 100% convinced this thing is real.
Oh.
And that must be the thing.
Guys, I saw a sea turtle, a cartwheeling sea turtle. I think it's carrying people away.
What?
I'm going to go investigate.
Finally, on the topic of D&D, regular commenter Andy McPhee isn't sure about the prospects for our plans and says, making deals with crabs, well, this is sure to go sideways.
Well, it certainly scuttled our plans.
Yeah, we had a shell of a time.
What a crustacean.
I thought we'd get more out of that.
What a shellfish assumption.
Let's move on. To your comments on the Xbox Xmas Challenges, which set us festive tasks to complete in order to identify and crown the annual winner of Christmas. Although, I'm not sure it really matters who wins, and after all, it's the taking part that counts.
Hey! Regarding Jane's FIFA giant killing challenge, commenter John BWFC thinks she's a natural, saying, Run faster, you morons. Amazing how quickly Jane starts to sound like a proper football fan.
And from football to pro wrestling, concerning my challenge in WWE 2K19 to win a battle royale with Santa Claus.
Santa.
Where's from?
Yeah!
600
Whoa.
pounds!
Saint
Nicholas,
Nicholas.
that's so
Nice
good.
work.
That is
Whoever
amazing.
made this
Good
Santa.
job.
637 pounds!
Yeah.
Man, Santa's a beast.
Yeah. He's a unit.
Yeah, all right.
All this looks a little familiar to commenter Mistform Squirrel, who says, Typical WWE, booking the once-a-year part-timer to bury all the mainstay talent.
Yeah, they'll put the Universal Championship on him before long, mark my words.
All right, Rollins.
Yeah.
Oh, no! You reversed it!
Oh.
Right into my jolly old beard!
Oh,
Yeah, nice
Mad
try.
now.
Yes!
Finally on this subject, commenter Mux was impressed by my Red Dead Redemption 2 skills, saying, I'm so glad Mike was able to accomplish his goal of ruining Andy's white shirts.
I will never forgive you.
There you go, Andy.
All right.
Flourishy.
Right, now to mess up this shirt.
No! No, my shirt!
Oh.
Christmas point for Mike.
Why would you do it?
Finally this week, time to scrutinise your comments on the last episode of Show of the Week, which, if you'll remember, was about Just Cause 4. In it, we challenged Jane to launch a car across a lake using just grit, determination, and loads of rockets.
Go.
Oh my God! Your symmetry!
Symmetry.
Oh, man.
Forget that.
Oh, man.
No. Entirely the wrong direction.
You're going to leave the Earth's
Okay,
atmosphere.
fire them again.
Point it in the
Fire
right
them
direction and fire again.
Fire.
Whether or not the early attempts were a success really depends on what kind of language you use, as commenter Christopher Nygren knows. Catastrophic failure sounds so negative. I prefer rapid, unscheduled disassembly.
Ooh, I'll have to remember that one.
For when this happens.
Up again?
Why are they not firing? Oh no, they're
there you go,
firing.
they're firing now. You've only got
Oh,
one
no,
left,
that
it
doesn't help
seems.
me.
Oh, you're heading somewhat.
No, catastrophic failure.
For when that happens, yeah. Commentator Dali Daydream, on the other hand, thinks they have a better name for the game and says, gonna start referring to Just Cause 4 as Cowbell Space Program.
Oh, because of the...
Yep. It is the launching animals into space thing. I think after many...
Like cow space program.
Exactly. After so many hours...
Massa.
Yeah, people are happy to eat meat, but they don't want to see where it came from.
What? Lastly this week, commentator Beth Blue was disappointed and says, anyone else really want to see the 7 best hair lengths for Arthur Morgan list? See, Mike, the people demand it. Okay, so, in first place, we have level 7 hair, obviously the best one. Second place goes to level 6 hair, almost there, just a little bit shorter. Level 5, then that's a nice hair, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, just about chin length. Beautiful. Next up, level 4, slightly higher. Pay attention, Mike.
There you go. That was it. The first episode of Show of the Week of the year 2019.
That's the
Is
year
the
it
year
is.
we are currently occupying. Now, before you go about your business, whatever that may be, it's none of our business, why don't you start the year as you mean to go on, which is to say, by watching lots of outside Xbox videos.
But Jane, sometimes I miss a video because I don't receive a notification or anything like that on my devices. So why would I even miss a video? I work on the channel.
I don't know, just carrying
Got
on.
access to the manager.
If you would like a notification every time Outside Xbox uploads a video, because you miss them, like Andy, what you should do is press the bell icon on the YouTube player and select that option. And then every time we upload a video, you will know about it instantly.
Good. It's natural, like
Yeah. Now you go and upload more videos.
All
And
right.
the good people at home can get their bell notification.
Fine, I will.
Go on then, I'm not joking.
Oh, you mean really?
Yes, no, really.
Right.
Need more videos.
I haven't got any Red Dead 2. Should I do some
Yeah,
more of
Red
the
Dead, fine. Stay tuned for more Red Dead video.
Making it now.
What are you doing? You warming up for
Warming
lunch?
up for lunch, yeah. Do you want to go and get some?
You're going to go chase it?
Yeah, I'm going to chase it down, but are you coming with me or not?
I would love to, Andy, ordinarily go and get some lunch,
Yeah.
as we often do, but in my epic game catch-up, I'm up to 1994, and there's this little game called Shaq Fu I'm pretty excited about.
Shaq Fu?
Yeah, so...
Or like Shaquille O'Neal?
yeah, did you play it?
No.
Oh, well then, you
Because
and
it was
I
about-
both.
Because it was about Shaquille O'Neal doing Kung Fu.
Is that what it's about?
Yeah, that's why it's called Shaq Fu.
Well, I'm keeping an open mind.
Well, it's either called Shaq Fu or Shaq FU, which, I mean, I heard it was bad.
The former seems more likely.
Yeah, well, why
I'll
would he
tell
be good
you-
at Kung Fu? He's a
I'll tell
basketball
you
player.
how it is. It's probably the new Tetris.
Well,
You go and get
I
lunch.
have heard that.
Go and get lunch and
I've-
upload more videos.
Fine.
But upload more videos first.
All right.
And then get lunch.
And then get lunch. And
Yes.
chase down lunch.
Yeah.
What do you want? Something slow?
A deer.
Okay.
There you have it. That was the first episode of Show of the Week of 2018. Thank you.
2019.
Oh no! What happened?
Time portal. Vortex.
Fine. Forget it. Scratch that.
Scratch 2019.
19. Yeah.
No, wait, scratch
FIFA,
2018.
FIFA's going to tell you it's 2020 when it comes out. But don't believe that.
You're saying it's
guys.
2018. FIFA's saying 2020. Jane.
Trust me, Andy. I'm from the future, which is 2019.
Hi, Jane.
I got it now.
Okay.
I got it now. Okay. I missed the Tetris. I really I know, don't tell me how to Tetris. I know Tetris. You got it, it's okay.
You got it, buddy.
Good job, little buddy. Look, I'm really good.
Is that what...
Shut up, I'm really
They can't
good.
see, but...
You can't see, but I'm really good. Just got to play 1,000 more hours of Tetris.
We all have ambitions. My ambition is to get through the intro to a video without something going majorly wrong.
Sorry, Andy. Lights are gone.
Sorry, Andy, I let some dogs in the studio.
Sorry, Andy. I think the chair's on fire.
3. Wow, 3 things. New record. Although ambition is an admirable quality, sometimes it goes too far, as in the case with these ambitious video games that overpromised, underdelivered, and ended in disappointment. Enjoy and remember this important lesson. Seriously, can we get those dogs out of here?
Ragnarok has begun.
Never forget what we have sacrificed for the good of humanity.
Hey, did you guys know that Thor and Odin and Asgard, all that stuff, that was a thing before the 2011 movie starring Chris Hemsworth? Yeah, me either. History is exciting. Hey, Andy. Andy. He's crying. It turns out Norse mythology traces its roots back many centuries to ancient Scandinavia. Norse mythology-inspired action RPG 2 Human, meanwhile, can trace its own origins back nearly as far, so protracted was its development history.
Odin's technology makes gods of men.
2 Human was an Xbox 360 exclusive that reimagined ancient Norse myth as high-tech science fiction, in which you play cyber god Baldur, who protects humans from bad robots. Most of the time. The game was first announced in the remote historic period known as 1999. Initially, it was going to be a gigantic 5-disc RPG for the PlayStation. Later, it was going to be a title for the Nintendo GameCube. Then, after languishing for nearly a decade in development hell, or should that be development Helheim? Norse mythology reference! Anyone? After that happened, it actually launched as an Xbox 360 exclusive.
Could it be that you like this young man? He is special.
So when 2 Human did finally come out, expectations were sky high. The prime ambition was for 2 Human to be the first part of an epic sci-fi trilogy. Not only that, the developer had called 2 Human the Xbox 360's God of War, in a claim best described as both very ballsy and complete tosh. 2 Human's ambitiousness went as far as scrapping traditional control and camera schemes in favour of its own idiosyncratic system, which was as bold as it was bad.
Assault squad, you're with Baldur. Move out.
I say was because it's actually no longer possible to buy a new copy of 2 Human, either in stores or online. See, after the game came out, 2 Human development studio Silicon Knights lost a tetchy legal dispute with Epic Games over 2 Human's licensed use of Epic's Unreal Engine, following which Silicon Knights was ordered to recall and destroy all unsold copies of their game. So that's maybe why you've never seen a copy of this Xbox exclusive in the wild. Ever since that legal ruling, the game's been kind of low-key. Low-key! Get it? Norse mythology reference! Yeah. No one's gonna high-five me.
After years of frustration, the ruthless leader of the Mishimas came up with a plan. Disguising his true intent, Osaka Mishima hired a legendary swordmaster to create the ultimate weapon, the Daikatana.
Back in the 90s, everyone was obsessed with the idea of rockstar game developers, and no one fitted the bill better than John Romero. I mean, just look at that hair. Oh, also, he made Doom, one of the most successful and controversial games of all time. Unfortunately, in addition to Rockstar hair, the other item in the My First Rockstar starter kit is a Rockstar ego. After the development of Quake at id Software, Romero clashed with fellow developer John Carmack. How to describe him? Ooh, he's like the keyboard player that stands at the back, but writes all the songs. Romero decided to strike out on his own, set up a new development studio, and create a game that was his own singular vision. That game was called Daikatana, and it was a sort of cyberpunk, time-travelling, samurai story. We'd probably have played a game that was just one of those things, to be honest. The game relied on you deploying the skills of 2 advanced AI companions, Mikiko Ebihara and Superfly Johnson. These guys were supposed to be revolutionary, but the only revolution happening will be you revolving your eyes when they do yet another stupid thing. It's like babysitting, only you're not getting paid to do it. And occasionally the baby will just sort of get stuck to a wall and you'll have to reset the whole babysitting scenario. Worse still, if your sidekicks die, it's game over, and they have the same relaxed approach to self-preservation as a fire-juggling motorcycle stunt rider. To be fair, even babysitters don't get paid if that happens. Daikatana was a hugely ambitious shooter RPG, but it just didn't work, making it one of the most high-profile video game flops of all time, and mostly putting a stop to the whole obsession with Rockstar game developers. Not to be confused with Rockstar Games. People are pretty obsessed with those guys.
Red Dead Redemption 2, woo!
Every 15 minutes. You knew it was going to be on this list. I knew it was going to be on this list. Duke Nukem himself probably knew it was going to be on this list.
Damn, I'm looking good.
Ah, he's busy. Well, regardless of what Duke thinks, the fact remains that Duke Nukem Forever spent 15 years in development hell before finally being released in 2011, and it was a sheer car crash of a game, sometimes literally. The reason for Duke's failure was the game's overreaching ambition. Its developers wanted Duke Nukem Forever to be groundbreaking in its gameplay and cutting edge in its technology, and so they ended up stuck on a never-ending treadmill of scrapping the game every few years and starting over.
Watch out, he's coming! Alright, we got him.
It was apparently a running joke at 3D Realms to stop director George Broussard from seeing new games, because he'd immediately want to take ideas from them and incorporate them into Duke Nukem Forever, causing more delays and more work for everyone. Kind of like how we don't let Mike watch competitive eating shows on TV because then he'll be off work for a week with stomach pain.
That's not the same thing.
It's the same thing. Among the cool-sounding features rumoured for Duke Nukem Forever were gunfights on moving vehicles, entering codes on keypads with Duke's fingers, dancing minigames, an inventory, a rideable motorbike, and using an in-game computer to send actual emails. None of those things are in the footage we're showing you at the moment because they were all scrapped over the years in attempts to force the game into something approaching a releasable state.
Hey pal, what are you gonna do? Save the world all by yourself?
Some of the ambitious ideas survived into the full game, although not as groundbreakingly as the developers might have hoped.
Oh, man! Good plan, Duke.
15 years. Is that it?
What the hell? No! Come on, no! This is disgusting!
Okay, I take it back. Totally worth it.
Engine. Some kind of... Wait. International Genetic Technologies. That was the company from the dinosaur trial.
Trespasser was originally conceived of as a digital sequel to Jurassic Park: The Lost World, back when a Jurassic Park sequel was something to look forward to, not a punishment from an angry god. In Trespasser, you play as Anne, the only survivor of a plane crash on Isla Sorna, dino cloning company InGen's Site B. Anne has to escape from the island using only her wits, her guts, and her health system, which is for some reason a tattoo on her boobs. Gotta stay alive long enough to get that thing lasered off, I expect. Prior to release, the developers of Trespasser claimed it would revolutionise PC gaming with a perfect, seamless world brimming with intelligent dinos. Unfortunately for them and us, the technology of the time meant that this was a lot easier said than done. As a result, Trespasser went majorly over budget several times, and features had to be fudged, stripped back, or removed entirely. And even then, some of the features that managed to stay in the finished game often didn't work the way they were supposed to. The planned Dino AI, for example, which was supposed to have the dinosaurs cycle through different emotions that would interact with the emotional state of other dinosaurs, never worked properly, which the developers fixed by just having the dinos be at maximum anger all the time.
4 shots.
I'd probably feel the same way if I were in Jurassic Park Trespasser. There are still some groundbreaking ideas in the final game. It was one of the first games to have an open environment full of trees, the first game to use ragdoll physics, and the first game to use an AI-based behavior and animation system called inverse kinematics.
3, 2.
It also allowed you to interact with the world in a wholly new way with the use of Anne's right arm, with which you could pick up objects, wave them around, and throw them at things. However, the waggly arm action too proved to be a problem, since it was awkward to control and often ended up looking a bit weird.
So weird, in fact, that it's been cited as the inspiration for both Octodad and Surgeon Simulator, which, if you've played either of those games, you'll suspect that this is not what Trespasser was aiming for. Eventually, thanks to many compromises, the developers managed to get the game into a state where it could be shipped and sold to people for money. Not many people, sadly, as thanks to bad reviews and poor word of mouth, it sold only about 50,000 copies. I guess the developers were so preoccupied with whether or not they should, they didn't stop to think if they could. Classic mistake.
Stay right where you are. Mr. President! Don't make me do this.
Resident Evil games are about two things: zombies and massive buildings with impractical lock systems. Three things if you count bad acting, and we do.
Oh, chill. This house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
That's why it was such a surprise to play the first demo of Resident Evil 6 to realize that large portions of the game were going to be a cover-based military shooter.
Enemy fire! Enemy fire! Alpha team, engage! All troops, spread out! Return fire! Come in, HQ. We're taking fire at the two apart.
It turns out that behind the scenes, Capcom had decided that survival horror was too small a market, and they wanted Resident Evil to be talked about in the same breath as Call of Duty. Which, I mean, obviously they haven't heard us talk about Call of Duty. That said, they didn't want to entirely abandon the series' roots, and so ended up making 4 different campaigns, each with its own story, characters, and gameplay style. Leon Kennedy's campaign was the closest to the classic Resident Evil games. In it, he explored a spooky university at night.
You all right? I will be once I find my daughter. I called her cell, but we got cut off. I know she's here somewhere.
On the other hand, Chris Redfield's campaign was a cover-based shooter that brought to mind Gears of War.
Alpha to HQ. Our route's blocked by a BOW.
Change course from Route 1 to Route 4.
Jake Muller's campaign, by way of contrast, had you pursued by a giant unkillable monster, while Jake, who looked like an action game hero from the late 2000s, delivered Nathan Drake-style quips.
I'm sure this wasn't part of the contract. But I am willing to renegotiate.
Finishing all of those unlocked a 4th campaign starring Resident Evil series regular Ada Wong. But by this point, most people had stopped playing because the other campaigns were mostly a boring trudge full of mediocre shooting that burdened you with an AI co-op partner dumber than the zombies you were trying to defeat.
He's tracking us. Well, technically you.
Ultimately, Resident Evil 6 tried to be too many things at once and largely ended up a hot mess of conflicting games that put people off instead of drawing in new fans to the series. As Abraham Lincoln once said, you can please some of the people some of the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you can never cram 4 separate campaigns into a Resident Evil game and expect it to be any good. I'm paraphrasing. He was ahead of his time. Still, after the poor sales of Resident Evil 6, Capcom went back to the drawing board, which led to last year's brilliant and terrifying Resident Evil 7, which really took the series back to its roots. Sorry, buddy. It's horrible, horrible roots. Ugh.
How hard can it be to create an entire universe? I heard one guy did it all on his own, in like 7 days. And I think he took one of those days off. Turns out it's a little harder than that though, as tiny indie studio Hello Games discovered when they went from making a game about a man on a motorbike called Joe Danger to making a game that promised an entire universe with 18 quintillion planets called No Man's Sky. And if you're struggling to comprehend the number 18 quintillion, it's the number of Simpsons episodes there are now, not counting specials and crossovers. There were plenty of things Hello Games wanted to achieve with No Man's Sky, including large-scale galactic battles you could participate in, accurate planetary physics, and proper multiplayer. You know, the sort where you can actually see the other players. When the game launched, it had none of those things, as pointed out by approximately everyone on Earth. Depending on how charitable you were feeling, these missing features were either broken promises or straight up lies. Or if you work in PR for Hello Games, differently achieved objectives. Man, I'm scarily good at that. Credit to Hello Games though, they've continued working on No Man's Sky in the year and a half since release, and many of the features that were originally promised have arrived in free updates to the game. What's more, there's another huge update on the way to mark the game's arrival on Xbox One this summer. We're not sure exactly what No Man's Sky Next, as it's called, will include, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be another monster apology letter to everyone who felt wronged by the state the game was originally released in. Okay, Hello Games, our hearts are open, and we're ready to love again. Right, I'm off to set up the outside Xbox PR department. We're not bad at games, we're just exploring the area underneath the difficulty curve. Yeah, that's it. Print the